in the journey to helping an organization become agile or achieving flow, there are some steps along the way. I used to do this as a bell curve, and everybody would sort of gloss over and not really seem to understand what I was talking about. And this actually came out of the transformation program that I did about 7 years ago. And there's really 4 waypoints going up the AHA curve. And now this doesn't mean that they're not performing on the left-hand side there. They're probably underperforming, but they're still delivering something. But it's nowhere near to the level that the company needs, and that's the horizontal line. Okay? The AHA point is the point in which an individual or a team gets that and they go, oh, I get that. This makes sense now. So when they first learn the processes and the structures and the frameworks, it's sort of a tool set mentality. They're on the left and they're going to struggle. They're going to go through the motions. I've even seen terms out there like zombie agile, where we're just going through the motions. We're doing all the ceremonies, but the team hasn't really, they know how to do agile. They haven't learned how to be agile. And the aha point is when the light goes on, the person goes, instead of saying yes but all the time, they start to say yes and. Okay? And they get to the point where all of the processes, all of the frameworks, all the rituals that they're doing on their daily stand-ups, for their sprint planning, for the sprint, for the retrospective, for the review and or demo, whatever you're doing, for each increment that you're doing. They go from just doing the motions to suddenly going, oh, this makes sense. Not only does it make sense, it helps me actually get my work done faster. When they hit that line individually, they've just stepped over from going through the motions to performing. Some teams might go back and forth up and down the curve. I've seen a person that it appeared that they had gone to struggle motions, even performing, able to repeat back everything, even with conviction, as if they actually believed it. But I saw them in another circumstance, and they were down in the far left corner struggling, going, yes, but I don't believe in this, I don't believe in that. And it was just like, what have you looked at for the last half year to a year? You know? And for a lot of people that come from traditional, this journey is going to take anywhere from 1 to 2 years to go from saying yes but all the time and arguing about it, when we know from all the studies that traditional only delivers 15-16% of the time versus agile that delivers on the average at 42% of the time successfully. When you look at that, it's like, why would you even consider continuing to use traditional? There are only extremely rare cases that you would continue to do that. At minimum, you should be putting in agile methodologies and techniques in what you're doing with traditional to at least get you a little bit further up the performance curve. And that's the whole point of using flow with traditional, is we know that we get near agile results. We were already doing that in the mid-90s. So we're more than capable of taking whatever methodology you're using and making it better. Okay? But each and every individual has to go through this aha curve so that they individually begin to perform and and then ultimately can start to achieve high performance. But you're not going to get into the high performance area without starting to adopt and adapt to the agile mindset and to the flow mindset. If you're not doing that, you're simply not going to make it in your transformation. I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are. I've seen this over and over and over and over again now for the last 15 years. It hasn't changed. And this is the part that most companies struggle with, because first, they want all the changes to happen yesterday, and the time that it takes for people to go up the aha curve, it's going to take what it takes. If it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, some people never. They have to go from just tool set thinking to adapting the mindset. They have to go from doing to being if they ever hope to want to perform at the level and to get the results that the organization wants. And so that's why transformation becomes extremely difficult and time consuming. Okay? As I shared here, you need coaches in every one of these boxes. In the team box, you're going to have Scrum Masters and Agile coaches working there. In the product program process manager box up there in the upper right corner, you're going to need Agile coaches who are really well seasoned, have a lot of experience and battle scars to be able to help the product owners and the managers and everybody in that box be able to work together and play together so that they don't mess up what the team is trying to get done. Okay? And each of these boxes takes time. And at the very top of the organization, the executives need to also go through the same journey, and they need to go from struggling with the idea and trusting whether or not it works. And after 18 years, guess what? I don't care what industry you're in. If you're in there kicking the tires, trying to figure out, well, how will Agile work in our environment, you're already 18 years late to the party. Okay? And there's so much evidence out there. On the average, you're gonna almost triple the productivity of your organization by going to Agile. But please don't treat Agile as a buzzword. It's not. It's a real thing. It's a body of knowledge that's been around for a long time. And if the executives and the leaders aren't taking it seriously, no one else is going to take it seriously. If the executives and leaders are struggling, everybody else is going to struggle. So they have the same curve to go up. If you've read Sutherland and Schwaber's, or Schwaber, I'm not sure which way you say his last name. If you've read their book, Software in 30 Days, in the back somewhere, I don't remember what page, they talk about the transformation journey taking 5 years. Because you have to transform every individual, every team, every product, program, process, and manager, and every portfolio level and director, vice president, president, CEO, C-level, all of those have to change. And when you look at doing that for any size organization, you guys could get overwhelmed very quickly, and we have ways to be able to help you get there faster. Another reason you would use flow is on that last slide, you would see that on the left-hand side for the individual and team, they're talking mostly the language of how do you get things done. That's the Agile coaching, innovation, and you're probably, if you're doing it well in your organization, anticipatory vision will also come into play there. And so you're trying to create something new. Okay, so that's the one half. But on the other half of the equation, and this is the thing that Agile purists routinely miss, and they end up extremely frustrated working with the product and organizational boxes on the right. They end up very upset because they don't know how to play politics, which is a blood sport. They don't know how to speak the language that the executives speak, which is, what are the results and how are you going to report those to me? And they are completely missing that once something's up and running and you get it into production, you're not looking at innovation and trying to get things out to market fast. You're trying to get to operational excellence, and that's a whole different animal. Now, Agile side, they're going to say it's either or. A pragmatist like myself is going to say, no, it's both and. And that's where VSPT comes into play. And as you're going around this infinity symbol, a company needs to know when to creatively destroy what they've done and start from scratch. Nokia did that. They went from making boots and tires to making cell phones. Well, that was creative destruction. They had operational excellence in making boots and rubber boots and tires for automobiles. But they did creative destruction, and through innovation and anticipatory vision, they built from the early 90s up through almost the late 2000s, like 2009, 2010. I don't remember the dates. But during that 20-year period of time, they built up, again, another organization that was operationally excellent, that could deliver 462 million handsets a year globally. That was amazing what they achieved, and they did it by doing this. Now, they didn't call it agile coaching back in the 90s, but the principles are the same. And this is exactly the framework and model that they followed. So because it's a both and, you got to do this at the individual level, you got to do it at the team level, at the product program process manager level, and at the organizational leadership level at the C-suite. It works in all four areas. And we use some key tools in each of those areas. Now, the 4R model for the individual: right truth, right values and attitudes, right actions, right results, and what's the individual's vision, what's at their core. We teach that in the Flow Certified Professional, and we won't go into that here. Define, distill, deliver, drive, the 4D model with vision in the middle. That's primarily at the team and product level, but we also use it at the individual and organizational level. And then ultimately, we use the figure 8 at the organizational level to try to help the leadership and executives understand what it is that has to happen. It's a both and you got to touch all four of these product boxes at once if you're going to be successful, not just in rolling out, scaling, or transforming your company. It's not either or on those, it's all three at the same time being able to do that.